Moonlight Slippers by Maria Fekete Sullivan. In a peaceful lake in the Ninth Kingdom, there lived a family of swans. When they stretched their long, slender necks and started to sail on the lake in the morning, the creatures of the underwater world and the birds in nearby trees would wake and begin to move around busily. What a perfect beginning to the day, the whole kingdom thought, watching the graceful swans as they sailed. There seemed to be nothing which could disturb their calmness. And yet, one little swan, Diane, often sat alone on the surface of the lake, encircled by lotus leaves and absorbed in watching birds other than swans. Their wings can touch the sky, Diane thought admiringly. Many times Diane tried to do the same. He fluttered his wings again and again, but he only managed to jump up little above the water and the ground. Other swans smiled as they watched Diane's restless movements. He's so young, they thought. Youth is restless. Once Diane was brave enough to ask the king of the swans why their family could not fly properly. The king embraced him with his wing and said, "Why would you like to fly? Isn't it joy enough to sail the lake? Which other birds can do that so gracefully and proudly? Oh, you're not going to mention ducks, clumsy ducks. Did anybody come to watch them swim? Of course not. But everyone loves to see your elegant, steepless stroll on the top of the water." "Oh, I don't want to stroll on water. I would like to touch the sky," replied Diane, looking hopefully at the flock of birds hanging on the clouds. "You look too much towards the sky. Why cannot you be content like others?" the king asked, frowning. Diane didn't seem to hear his words. He dreamed of flying up and up further than he could see. The king became somber, his voice shrill and curt. "I order you to stop looking up. From now on, from sunrise till sunset, you are allowed only to look down at the lake or straight in front." Diane couldn't believe it. His biggest enjoyment was to follow the free flight of other birds. Almost all of them could do it. All could fly, from the smallest sparrow to the greatest eagle, but not the swans. Diane was now guarded during the day by other swans who had heard how he had angered the king. Diane's neck had to be always bent towards his reflection in the water, and he could only look from time to time at the birds walking and playing on the shore of the lake. There was no sun and no sky for Diane anymore. He didn't try to fly again. His big wings had so many feathers, but couldn't take him above the trees. For no swan touched the sky with his wings. Sometimes, though, during the night, when the king and Diane's family were asleep, he looked up secretly. The birds flew high and carefree. Some of them didn't have to flutter their wings. They lay on the cushions of the air. It seemed to Diane that they were carried on a moonlight carpet. If I could only join them for a few minutes, Diane thought. I would just touch the sky and come back. I don't have to fly. Diane felt as though he was in prison. The lake beneath kept him down, tying him with heavy, watery chains. He was glued inside his swan body. During the day, Diane swam silently with his family without even peering towards the sun. He had noticed that other swans didn't really want to fly. They were a sailing decoration on the surface of the lake, and they liked it that way. But at night time, when other swans' heads drooped sleepily like snowdrops, Diane's long neck stretched towards the sky. The moon was very surprised. She wondered what was going on at the lake in the Ninth Kingdom. For she noticed a glimmering creature with a pale neck looking up while all the others were asleep. Even as the moon yawned and prepared to go to bed behind the darkness, that same white neck reached towards the sky. Diane tried to stay awake as much as possible. He enjoyed the moonlight since the sun's face was forbidden to him. Curious, the moon's face appeared on the lake's surface. "Why don't you sleep?" the yawning moon asked Diane. Diane looked down at the bright reflection of the moon's face on the water. "Dear moon, I cannot look at the sky during the day. I have almost forgotten how it feels to see the sun, but I stay awake at night and enjoy seeing your face." The moon was flattered. "Nobody stays awake all night to look at me," she said sweetly. "But why cannot you look at the sky and sun during the day?" "I'm not allowed to look up," Diane said. "Nobody can forbid you that," the moon replied, shaking her yellow head that looked like a melon in the water. "My king does, because I wanted to fly like other birds, and we swans cannot fly." The moon heaved a deep sigh. "Why would you like to fly? You, the nicest of all birds. You were born to sail the lake and attract all eyes with your grace." "Forgive me, O moon. My king told me the same, but I cannot help it." The moon looked thoughtful. "You cannot help it." "I'm sorry," Diane replied. The moon was deep in thought over what to do with Diane. "Your wings will never fly," the moon suddenly said in a low voice. "I know," Diane answered. "I tried many times. Now I only want to enjoy the flight of other birds. I wish I could again look freely to the sky." "I could talk to your king and ask him to release you from your unjust punishment," the moon suggested. "Please don't, please," Diane cried, "for the king doesn't like anybody to tell him what to do." "All right then," the moon shrugged her shoulders. "I must go now. The sun is ready to sit in my place. Bye-bye. Thank you for chatting with me," Diane said. He bowed his head before the moon's reflection on the lake. "Bye, Diane," the moon said and disappeared from the lake. Up in the sky, the moon thought how nice the little swan was. He didn't really envy the other birds. He just enjoyed watching them fly, for he himself was never going to touch the sky. Why not? The moon suddenly thought. I can take him with me on a little trip, she said merrily. The moon shook her head 3 times. The golden dust from her hair fell on the surface of the lake and formed 2 slippers made of light. Diane saw in front of him a pair of slippers like golden boats. Hurry up, Diane. The moon reappeared on the lake. I will take you on a night trip with me. Put on the moonlight slippers first. Diane's beak opened with astonishment. Moonlight slippers? Where are we going? He asked. Just put the slippers on. Hurry, I have only a few minutes left, the moon urged. Diane put his wet feet into the slippers and the water immediately vanished from them. He didn't have time to ask anything else, for he felt his heart beating strongly. He was flying up and up, free from weight, lighter than the air. He was sailing in the sky. Diane was thrilled to see the moon's face so close. He was floating on cushions made of clouds. The lake was as little as a water drop. The trees were plunged into the darkness. His slippers were hanging on the clouds like 2 little suns. Diane shuddered, feeling a bit scared. He touched the sky without using his wings. What if the slippers fell off now? The moon showered him with light. I have to go, she said. The sun is coming up. Would you like to meet the sun? Thank you, O moon, but I must go back. The king will wake up soon. Diane had not finished speaking when he found himself again on the lake's surface. The swans were still asleep as though nothing had happened. Their sleepy heads drooped like snowdrops. The last thing Diane saw were 2 little moonlight slippers sinking in the lake's water like 2 small suns. Diane immersed his head in the cold water of the lake. He felt refreshed when the other swans awoke. As soon as he saw the king, Diane approached him with new confidence. I don't want to fly anymore, he said. Why is that? The king asked suspiciously. Because my wings could never take me to the sky, Diane replied. Satisfied, the king took him gently under his wing. They sailed together happily the whole morning on the lake's surface. Diane was again allowed to look up towards the sky as much as he pleased. But now he wanted to discover all the places on the lake that he previously had not even noticed. He was delighted to spot the new leaves and bushes on the shore. The lotus flowers were more beautiful than ever for him. He felt proud when creatures came to see him swim gracefully on the lake. He was the only swan who had touched the sky, thanks to the moonlight slippers. But his wings could never have carried him there. Diane was grateful to the moon for helping him understand that. He sailed the lake with vigor and playfulness for the rest of his life, happy as a swan can be.